Hey there, you guys. Vertigo here. Back in the world of YouTube, obviously. So, for those of you who saw the vlog, that situation has been more or less resolved. I have a working desk space. I have internet, fully functional internet, and yeah, things are looking up. So I've been streaming the past few days and figured I would record a YouTube video tonight. So again, I'm going to try and cut down on the length of these videos and not do too much extra talking. We're here on the ground at JFK at John F. Kennedy International, flying for American Airlines today in the PMDG NGX. Our call sign is going to be American 16, and we're flying up to Boston Logan. Incredibly short flight, about 35-40 minutes. At any rate, all our ground connections are good to go. Our passengers are boarded, our fuel's on board, and they've pulled the jetway, so all we need to do is get the aircraft flyable. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started there. We can come up to the overhead panel, first things first, get our passenger signs on, the seat belts, and get our window heat on. And then lastly, or next, it's definitely not the last step, we can set the pressurization panel. Set our cruising altitude. We're going up to flight level 230 today, pretty low. Again, an incredibly short flight, so we don't need to be up there all that high and for all that long. Down to the pedestal here, we can set our squawk code to squawk 2200, which is default IFR. There is no VATSIM control that I'm aware of. We are on VATSIM, but everybody's gone to bed. And I will set the radios here. We're going to be listening to 122.8, which is obviously just advisory. It's Unicom. So the radio panel is good to go, and let us hop down into the FMS and get us programmed here. So reference airport. We're going to be on the ground here at Kennedy. And the ICAO is KJFK. And if we jump to the next page, we can grab our GPS position and use that to align the IRS like so. Our route, obviously going from Kennedy, where we are, and we're going to Boston. Our flight number, as I mentioned earlier, is American 16. And we'll be departing off runway 13 right at Kennedy. It's a very simple route. We only have one fix, and it is Merritt. And then from there, if we go to departures and arrivals, departure is obviously, well, not obviously, the departure is out of Kennedy. It's going to be the Kennedy 3 departure, off runway 13 right. And the arrival is the, if I jump through here, it's the Roebuck 2. And let's take a quick look at the weather at Boston to see what it's doing there. Get an idea for what runway we're going to be landing on. The wind is 070 at 7. So probably 4 right then would be the runway we'd want. So the Roebuck 2 for runway 4 right on the Merritt transition. And we'll take the ILS for 4 right. So if we activate that and execute it, and then take a look at our fixes here, we're going to fly runway heading, and then we're going to self-vector ourselves to Merritt, and then the arrival with the altitude and speed constraints already in. A quick route and a good route. Performance information, our zero fuel weight is about 133,000 pounds. Our reserve fuel, according to PFPX, is 5.7. We'll use a cost index of 38. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going up to 230. The cruise winds, let's see, what do you have for us, PFPX? Cruise winds, we'll call them 294 at 23. 294 at 23. Cruise winds are entered, and it will get as cold as minus 18 up there, so not terribly cold. Minus 18 at the top of climb outside air temperature. I believe, at least. Let me, yeah, that will be the temperature. So we will execute that. Transition altitude obviously is correct. Takeoff performance, let's, oh, excuse me, guys. Let's calculate it here in using TopCat. So runway 13 right, we're going to have a 22 kd rate, and the assumed OAT is going to be 38. And we'll be taking flaps 1 according to TopCat. I know, and I apologize if you just heard a very loud car drive by. It's because a very loud car just drove by. I know standard procedure is normally flaps 5 in the NGX, but we're going to go with flaps 1 today. Trim 5.27 units, and our V-speeds are in like so. So we got a good flight plan, a good FMS. We'll set the parking brake. We will fire up the APU. And let's set the MCP. So V2 is 152. Initial heading is 135 off runway 13 right. The initial altitude out of here on the Kennedy 3 departure is 5,000 feet. Auto brake can go to RTO, flight directors, and the auto throttle can come up. VOR bugs will get terrain and data and traffic on the first officer side, and we will get traffic and data on our side, and then of course we will set the weather radar on a bit later here once we're away from the terminal. We're here at the American Airlines terminal. There's the JetBlue. Maybe that's like a maintenance hangar, I'm not sure, but we're kind of on the outskirts of the American Airlines terminal. If you could see over this building, you'd be able to see the rest of it. The altimeter, let's take a quick look at what the altimeter here is at Kennedy. As I pull my weather data, it is 3015. And we're in good shape. The APU is indeed running. We'll transfer our power to there and off of ground power. The yaw damper can come on, get the rest of the fuel pumps and the anti-collision light. Our packs are off. And we can get rid of these ground connections and call over GSX for push and start. We're probably going to want, let's take a look. What direction are we going to want to push in? We'll take nose right, tail left. So GSX, we'll call you on over. Prepare for pushback and departure. Nose right, tail left. Alright, ground connections. Pitot covers can go, air conditioning unit can go. Ground power and wheel chocks can go. All our ground connections are clear. And we're ready to go here. So we'll let GSX do their thing, connect the tow bar, and then we'll be ready to push back and start our engines.
Departure check completed. Live has been inserted. Release parking brakes.
Alrighty, GSX has done their thing. Brakes released, and we'll set the transponder here, mode Charlie. And we'll start engine number 2, then number 1. So as engine number 2 comes up, we're looking for about 25% N2, and then we will feed fuel into engine number 2. So float on down here. You can see N2 rising nicely, oil pressure rising. And N1 will slowly rise as well. It's 25% N2 fuel going into engine number 2. Those engines sound nice. You can tell I haven't done the YouTube thing in a while. Having difficulty articulating what I'm trying to say. The words just aren't coming out right. Bear with me, guys. Very nice start on engine number 2. And there goes the starter cutout. We have a good start on number 2. We'll start up number 1. See the GSX man walking back with us. Really? That was kind of a it's kind of a poor push. Alrighty, 25% N2 fuel going into engine number 1. I asked for nose right, tail left, and they just kind of did a straight pushback, so we're gonna need to swing a hard right here on Tango as the taxiway and take that down. Bob and weave down Tango to join, I guess, Bravo. And then we'll take Bravo down to 13 right, along with some other taxiways. So GSX is unlocking the gear. They've done their thing, and they are off. And there's a good start on engine number 1, so we're going to transfer power to the engine generators. We can get rid of the APU. And the APU bleed, electric hydraulics on, probe heat on, packs to auto, isolation valve to auto. Engine start switches continuous. We'll get the taxi light on. We'll set flaps 1 for departure. We can also set our trim. Thanks for the heads up, GSX. We'll see you next time. 5.27 on the trim, so we will set that right about there. We'll call it 5.27 is in there. So our trim is set. Our flaps are set. We're good to go. Let's just have a real quick check of the flight controls, and then we'll get taxiing over to 13 right. So, full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudder, full left, full right, and neutral. Flight controls look good to go, and we're ready to get out of here. So let's make our way over to 13 right. Alright guys, welcome back. So we're just approaching 13 right here, about ready to go. We'll get our weather radar on. Let's go ahead and start the clock now. Transponder can go to TARA. And the only thing left to do would be to get our lights, which we will do as we enter the runway. So here's Papa Echo, and then we'll take full length because that is what our takeoff performance calculation was for, so we don't want to run out of runway. That would be very bad. So we'll take full length here. A little bit of differential braking to whip it on around. Final is clear. And lights on. Here comes the strobe. Get our landing lights and the turn-offs, and we'll get out of here. Off to Boston we go. Let's do it. Ready, 40%. Now those throttles come up. And take off. And one, heading select Toga. Airspeed is alive. Power is set. There is 80 knots.
V1.
Rotate. V2.
We have a positive rate of climb, and gears coming up. Pitch that nose forward ever so slightly. And we're looking for runway heading, which we will hold here. And then if we take a look, you can see Merritt is off to our left there. So we're just going to fly this heading, we'll get ourselves cleaned up, and then we will self-vector on over to Merritt. So there's our climb thrust. We'll take level change, and we will bug our speed up to flaps up speed. Pitch the nose over a bit more to gain some speed. Gear off, auto brake off, we can get our lights. And the engine start switches as well. And we're pretty well clear of the field. Passing through 3,000 feet, we'll start to make our left-hand turn towards Merritt. Alrighty, flaps up. Autopilot can go in, and we'll start to swing that left-hand turn now. Let's make it a 040 heading, and I will come down to the FMS as well and insert Merritt here, like so. Execute that, and we'll take LNAV and VNAV, And we're off to Boston. Look at that view. Oh, I should bug our altitude up too, shouldn't I? That would be a good idea. So I'll bug our altitude all the way up to our final flight level, 230. That's a little more like it. Good stuff. Very nice departure. Blue sky, early morning here on the east coast of the U.S. You can see Kennedy. I believe those, yeah, that's the 13s and the 22s you can see. And yeah, the New York area. Very cool stuff. Alrighty. So, off to Boston we go. Alright guys, welcome back. So you can see we're just about to level off at top of climb at 230, and just as soon as we're hitting our cruise, we're going to be preparing for our descent. So figured I'd bring you guys back in so I can show you what's going on here, and then you guys have an idea of what's going on before we start down. So first. Again, I can't speak. I'm so sorry, guys. I'll get the knack of it once I've been doing this a bit more. MCP altitude, we can go down as low as 6,000 feet on the RNAV arrival, the Roebuck 3, I believe it is. So we'll set 6,000 feet in the MCP altitude here. Pressurization panel, we're going to set our landing altitude up here. And it is 19 feet at Boston, and this goes through 50, so 0, 50, 100, etc., etc. So the closest estimate is 0. We'll leave that as is. ILS frequency and course for 4 right. The frequency for the ILS is 110.3, and we're going to put this in both of the navigation radios. 110.3, there we are. And the course for this is 036. That's set 036. On both of the course bugs. Okay. 036 is set. Auto brake. It's not a terribly long runway. It's not terribly short though either. We'll use an auto brake of 2. Our minimums are going to be 218 feet on the barometric altimeter. That's our decision height. We need to have the runway in sight by then, or we go missed. No exceptions allowed. Approach information. We're on the Roebuck 2, rather. Sorry, the Roebuck 2. It's an RNAV arrival. We're going to track down through a series of fixes, which will put us more or less on a straight-in approach for 4 right. It's pretty straightforward. It's an RNAV approach. There's not a lot of work for us to do. The weather at Boston, if I take a look here, is pretty unremarkable. 070 at 7 knots. Visibility is fine. Few clouds at 9,000, otherwise nothing to speak of. Altimeter is 3010. I will set that here, and we'll set that on the way down. And lastly, our landing speed. So we have, what, about 11,000 pounds of fuel on board currently. And if we take a look at the progress page, we're estimated to have 10.7 at Boston. That's about 0.5, 500 pounds of difference. So we'll set 144 as our gross weight for arrival, and we'll take flaps 30, which will give us a landing speed of 148 knots, and insert that so that we'll have a bug down here. You can see our VREF speed 148. That'll be helpful on the way down. So whoa, yeah, top of descent's coming up real quick. We'll be starting down soon. Let's go ahead and get the passenger signs on. Tell everybody to sit down. And yeah, it won't be long before we are arriving in Boston, guys. Hey you guys, welcome back. So we're on our way down just through 13,000 feet, coming up on 10,000 feet here, which is where the action starts. So you can see the plane's decelerating. We're a little above our vertical navigation path, but we're catching up to it quickly, just over the fixed Roebuck, and we're going to track on our present heading out to Pro V, and then swing a left-hand turn onto what is essentially an extended final for 4 right. So at this point we're just monitoring. Obviously we'll get our lights at 10,000 feet, but we just want to make sure our speed and altitude is good. We're back on our vertical navigation path. You can see we've gone from VNAV speed back into VNAV path, and we're in pretty good shape. We're sitting pretty. The altimeter is set for the local setting, which is 3010. And yeah, we're ahead of the plane, which is always where you want to be. You never want to be behind the plane. Always be 1 or 2 or even 3 steps ahead of where you need to be. Makes your life a lot easier. So as we come up on 10K here, we'll get our lights. Here comes that slight left-hand turn, and yeah, this is a pretty extended final. This is going to be about a 40-mile final as we roll out. So I'll try and find ways to keep you guys entertained. I'm sure there'll be a lot going on. Worst comes to worst, I can always edit the video, but I think I'll find enough to talk about to fill that space. I don't think that'll be necessary. See, we're just coming through 250 knots there, about 600 to go until 10K, so we're in really good shape now. Let's go ahead and get those fixed landing lights on now. Yeah, Boston's an interesting airport. I currently have the Fly Tampa scenery, which for those of you P3D, or for you P3D users out there, you will know that it doesn't behave too well with P3D. It's better than the default, and it gets along well enough, but the night lighting does not work, at least for me. I'll speak for myself. Maybe somebody out there has figured out a way to get the night lighting to work. So unfortunately, I'm limited to day flying when it comes to Boston for the time being. But no, Boston's a fun airport, and the JFK to Boston hop and vice versa is a lot of fun. It's short. It's it's good scenery. It's generally pretty busy on VATSIM, so I like doing this flight. I thought it would make for a good YouTube video as well. See, there's another deceleration. We're going to drop down to 220 knots. We do have a little smidge of speed breakout since we were fighting a tailwind there on the way down, and getting our speed and altitude down was just a tad tricky. Speed should drop nicely, which it is. If it doesn't, we can pull out a bit more speed brake, but I believe we're just fine for now. I hope my apartment neighbors can't hear me. It's pretty late right now, or early rather. It's about 3 a.m. on the East Coast. They're all probably trying to sleep. Hope they can't hear me. Get a nasty letter tomorrow. No, I doubt it. At any rate, another thing to discuss as we kill some time here. So these are new textures. The sky textures are via Rex, as well as the sun textures. So let me know what you guys think about the new textures, the new look of the sim. It's not going to be a huge difference, but maybe the more observant and perceptive of you will notice that it does look a little different than previous content. So if you have feedback on that, please let me know. Alrighty, about 30 miles to run here, coming through 8,000 feet. Let's go ahead and get the engine start switches to continuous. Yeah, we're looking really good. Speed's in a good place, as well as the altitude. We'll have a deceleration up here just before. I believe that fixes Goshi. If I can jump down here and let you guys get a closer look at that. Ernie, Goshi, and then the star ends here and the ILS begins here. And we're picking up the localizer, so I'm actually going to grab that localizer right now. And you can see a little bit of water out there, and the airfield should be just on the other side of that body of water. Alright, 1,000 to go for 6,000. Missed approach altitude is 3,000 feet, so we can drop our altitude all the way down to there. That makes our life easy because we continue our descent, and we don't have to set our missed approach altitude as we're as we're trying to land the plane. So that is convenient. And we're just about to hit that deceleration point. Here it is, and the speed will drop down to 211. In fact, I'm going to intervene here and drop the speed down to 210 for the time being, and then we'll make that 180 fairly soon. And I'm also going to take flaps 1 to add a little bit of drag. And those flaps will just help us get down a little bit quicker while keeping our speed where it needs to be. A little more speed brake here. And there's the glide slope as well, so it's arm approach. And just over Goshi now, we'll take 180 on our speed, and we will take flaps 5 here in just a moment. Let's bleed a little bit of speed before we take flaps 5. And you can actually see we're still being pushed by a slight tailwind. I do believe that's going to change as we get a little bit lower down here. We should start to catch a headwind as we get a touch lower. Need a little more speed brake then, huh? Don't want to lose much speed, apparently. Alrighty, flaps 5 it is. And speed slowly wanting to come down, although it's taking its time, that is for sure. See a little airstrip there off to our left. I'm not sure what airfield that would be. Maybe I could, if I'm feeling really ambitious, label that when I edit it. I'm probably not going to do that. I shouldn't have set that expectation. Alrighty, speed's dropping through 200 knots. We're in good shape. Slowly start to bring in that speed brake just a little bit. And there's 1,000 to go for 3. We should can't speak. There we go. Grab the glide slope, which we just did. And we'll keep the speed at 180 until we're a few miles from Milt. Say 2 nautical miles from Milt, then we'll drop down to final approach speed. And now no wind is being detected by the aircraft. Still having a little issue with the speed, but it's in good shape. It just doesn't want to decline or come down. Yeah, okay, we're bleeding speed. A little under 10 miles to run here. 4 miles from Milt. We'll drop the gear. I'll put those spoilers away and then arm them, and we will take flaps 15. Drop our speed down here to 161 knots, flap 15 speed. The radio altimeter is alive. We'll get the remainder of our lights on. And we're just standing by on our landing speed and landing flaps. We'll reduce down to final approach speed once we're over top of Milt and take flaps 30 at that point, and then I will hand fly the aircraft in. Can just slightly see those poppies coming into view out there. Still don't have a great look at the field. And if you look off to the left, so cliche, there's downtown Boston. Cool. Very cool view. Alright, we're over top of Milt. Let's take final approach speed. If we check the FMS, 148 plus 3, call it plus 5, call it 153, and flaps 30. Hey, some boats down there as well in the harbor. Cool. Yeah, this looks really nice. Hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. This is a cool view. At any rate, less talking, more flying. Let me hand fly this aircraft down. The rudders are a little giving me some trouble, so if it's a little disastrous, I apologize, guys, but I'm gonna try my best. Autopilot's out, auto throttle's out, flight directors can go as well. And the aircraft is completely mine at this point. Add a little bit of power back in there, just slightly low. Pull that nose up to stay on the glide. We are visual though. We can consult with that glide slope there, but should just be using the poppies and our eyes. Eyes should be outside the aircraft, not inside at this point. It kind of is difficult to get a read on those poppies though, so I will glance down occasionally just to check where we are relative to the glide slope, but those might not even be poppies. Are those Vassy lights? I don't know, that's hard to tell. I'm not sure if those are poppies. Huh, interesting. I'll need to do some research on this after I'm done flying.
Plus 100.
Might get a glide slope call out or a glide slope warning. It's no worries because we're fully visual. There are minimums, we're landing.
Glide slope.
Yeah, see, don't need to worry about that. And there comes a crosswind, that wind shift though.
50. Glide slope. 30. 20. 10.
A little bit of left rudder, we are down. Reversers are out, holding that nose up. $80 knots, reversers are stowed. Manually braking. And we'll roll all the way on down and exit somewhere to the left. Let's see, what do we got here? Take a look at the ground chart. We can get off to the left at Romeo up here. Very cool, very cool. Turn that auto brake off. We'll get off to the left. Stow the speed brake. Start to bring the flaps in. Welcome to Boston, guys. Get our lights. Start up the APU. Engine start switches to off. The strobe can come off as well. Weather radar, traffic, and data can go. Clean up the aircraft essentially. Get rid of the information we no longer need. Transponder can be set. We can stop the clock. That was a 36-minute flight. No kidding. That's basically nothing. And we're going to taxi into gate Bravo 33. Today is our gate. So, I'll make my way on over there, and I'll see you guys once we've arrived. Alright guys, welcome back. Bravo 33 is just up here off to the right, so we're gonna get that taxi light off. I really can't speak, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happened to me. Taxi light is off. Transfer power to the APU gen. TCAS is set. Standby at this point. And Bravo 33, where are you at? Here we are, straight ahead. There's 32, 34. Here is 33 straight ahead. So let's straighten ourselves out. You can see there's another American Airlines 737 right over there. 737-800 it appears. I suppose that's the only option. And we'll creep on in here. And there we are. So, we'll set our parking brakes, cut the engines. The anti-collision light can go off. Fuel pumps, we'll leave the number 1 forward fuel pump under on the APU, but the remainder of them can be closed. Window heat off, probe heat, electric hydraulic pumps, the packs can go off, isolation valve to open, APU bleed on, let go of the passengers, and we'll get some ground connections going. And we can open up some doors as well. Cool stuff. So let's hop up to the overhead. We will run on ground power, can kill the APU, and that fuel pump can go. And we can deboard with GSX at this point. And there's the flight complete. Welcome to Boston, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Hey there, you guys. So yeah, it's nice to record another YouTube video after quite a break. This is going to be a regular thing. Look out for several of these a week, in addition to live streaming on Twitch. For those of you who know about Twitch, you know about Twitch. For those of you who don't, there will be a link in the description to my channel. It's essentially what I do here, but live streaming with a webcam. You can interact with me, and I will talk to the chat. So feel free to hop over there and take a look. It means a lot. Your guys' support and appreciation is why I do this. It's more fun to interact with you all than it is to sit here by myself. So there'll be several other links in the description as well. But no, guys, it's good to be back. This is going to become regular. Sorry that I've been gone for so long. But yeah, comments, feedback is hugely appreciated. If you guys have flight requests, if you guys have specific feedback as to my flying, as to my simulator, so on and so forth, please share it with me. I'm all ears as long as the criticism is constructive. I am happy to hear it. And yeah, I can't think of anything else that needs to be said off the top of my head. So at any rate, guys, you all have a good one, and I'll see you next time around. So long.